Hello? All right. Okay. All right. So there's, besides the board, I'm not sure if there's, who's not from the board here? 3 people, 4 people. Fabulous. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to, the purpose of this business meeting, which is an annual business meeting since MCN is a membership organization and it's your meeting, is really to review what we've achieved in 2016. And so what I want to go over tonight here, this is very strange, like wavy. But I'll talk about our major accomplishments in 2016 from our strategic plan. I'll give you a quick financial overview, and we'll talk about MCN at 50. So for those of you who don't know, we embarked on a 3-year strategic plan from 2016 to 2018. So we are coming at the end of our first year of our strategic plan. And that plan essentially contained 5 key priorities. The first one was to maximize the annual conference face-to-face experience. The second one is really to develop a comprehensive professional development track. Third one is building strategic partnerships, not only with vendors, but across sector with other museum organizations. The fourth prong of our strategic priority was to strengthen our governance and operations, and the fifth one was about systems and infrastructure and our digital presence. So, annual conference. A lot has been done this year already, and you may have noticed some of the results. We've changed the conference program appointment process with more openness and transparencies. So you've got that here. There were a lot more blog posts. Actually, we recruited the program chairs, and then we did a formal call for program committee members, which were selected. More transparency also was in the after the selection of proposals. And we defined committee members' roles and responsibilities, increased involvement of SIGs in the process as well, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. And we changed the program, as you all know, from a Tuesday through Friday model, as opposed to a Wednesday through Saturday model. And as of today, 619 people had registered, and I got a call this afternoon that a couple of people were actually inquiring about just coming tomorrow for the day. So, oh yeah, we also did 6 big ideas videos, which we started to develop last year. And for those of you who don't know what these are essentially short promotional videos about upcoming speakers to the conference that talk and kind of like, set the tone and jazz up for expectations ahead of the conference. So we had 6 big ideas video that we promoted throughout the summer up until, pretty much last week. And big shout out to Drew Mandinac of BPOC, who single-handedly edited each one of those 6 videos for us. Governance, a quick board members update. Most of you are in the room here. Our thanks and gratitude to outgoing board members, Jen Alexander, Dana Allen Grail, Yves Galsé, Amy Heibel, Morgan Holzer, Scott Sayre, and Loïc Talon. Their term ends this week, and we are welcoming 5 new board members: Greg Albers, Laurie Bird McDevitt, Deborah Howes, Darren Milligan, and Matthew Tarr. So welcome with us. This is the composition of the board in 2017. Carolyn Royston is our next president, Suze Keynes, our VP, Darren Milligan, our secretary, and Bert Dechenhardt, our treasurer. Governance achievements. Of course, governance and operations is not a very sexy thing, but I can tell you that it was a lot of work that we put into this year. Governance guidelines is a very lengthy, like 25, 26-page document about the roles and responsibilities of board members, expectations, officers, and committees. And so, yeah, that was a big load of the work that we've done. We refined the board recruitment and orientation process as well, which we keep updating as we go along because, as you know, last year, MCN transition, pardon me, from an election of its board members to an appointment, a more traditional ways of nominating board members to the board. So at the end of this year, the nominating committee also kind of incorporated changes to the process so that we can always refine it. Brand new board member self-assessment and a board self-assessment process are being put in place this year. So this is just right off the press. And there's two things. There's a self-assessment for sitting board members that do that before the November board meeting, which is really just to reflect on their performance over the past year. And the board self-assessment is an assessment of the board as an entity, as a body, to really kind of reflect on whether it's meeting the goal of good governance and its fiduciary duties towards the organization as a whole. We refined the annual operating budget development process, which we now start much earlier in the year. We actually kick it off like in January, February. And last but not least, a kind of also a work in progress document, an annual milestones timeline, which is essentially a calendar of all the things that are recurring events and activities that the organization needs to accomplish month by month. So doesn't seem like, again, not very sexy stuff, but so important. Strategic partnerships. We set out, this is part of the second strategic priority, we established a strategic partnership team with Laura, Bert, and myself. We had an executive team retreat actually in February in sexy Newark, New Jersey, where we spent 2 days locked up in a hotel, a conference room, with no windows. It really worked. It really worked. Some of the things that came out of that essential meeting, we refined our target vendors list and qualified prospect, which seems so obvious. We'd never had the chance to do it before. We streamlined our sponsorship offer this year to maximize vendor values and introduced 2 new sponsorship opportunities. The first one is Market Trend, and the second one is Partners in Conversation. I'm sure that you've heard me talk about them before. We, going forward, would like to continue to cultivate year-long relationship with prospects and sponsors, of course securing year-long and long-term commitment throughout 2017 and for MCN at 50, of course. And we are also in the process of exploring cross-sector collaborations with other museum organizations such as AAM and AAMC, just to name a couple. So you've seen this slide before. This is the achievement of this year. 26 sponsors are supporting this conference, 13 of which are new. Which was a big achievement in and out of itself. Professional development. So this is, again, all of this is ongoing and in process. We've designed or are in the process of designing a comprehensive professional development track and program, defining the different volunteer opportunities all the way from, just volunteering at the conference to board service. And everything that comes in between, and that has been led by Elizabeth Bulwark and Scott Sayre, and Deborah Howes will be taking this over from Scott this year. Thank you. We are also launching an online recruitment platform, and possibly to match opportunities for needs for volunteer opportunities in our community. We launched a professional development section on our website. and improve the conference scholarship program. And as you've known from last night, we're also launching a pilot mentorship program in collaboration with Johns Hopkins University. SIGs, still a lot of achievement this year with 10 very active SIGs with super leaders. Last year, a couple of years ago, we updated the SIG charter, and one of the main goals of this update was really to give the SIGs more operational autonomy, and that resulted in getting SIG chairs elected. So we hold annual elections of SIG chairs in the first couple of weeks of December, and last December 2015 was the first time that we actually elected our first SIG chairs. And I don't know what that did, but I guess they felt empowered, and we meet monthly. Myself, Scott, who was SIG's board liaison, will be replaced by Elizabeth Bulwark this year, so we can keep on top of what they're doing. And I think 53 sessions were more or less SIG sponsored. Suze, I'm not sure. I think it's in total, right? Whether they were actually sponsored by or self-nominated, exactly. So we'll do better in the upcoming years. We conducted the SIGs, actually, not we. The SIGs really produced 7 what we call our MCN Pro webinar series through 2017. I know there were 3 from the Brand Master series that was produced and led by the Media Production and Branding SIG. There were a couple from ITs, small museums even had one, so it was great to see activity throughout the year from our SIGs. Systems infrastructure. There's an expression in French that says les cordonniers sont toujours les plus mal chaussés, which is a very loose translation for shoemakers have the worst shoes. And by this, I meant that we had the worst freaking systems for our conference management and membership management for the past couple of years and longer. So we set out actually in December to, on a very ambitious and in a record time, really, to identify and define user needs for our community for the conference and membership management software. We wrote out a comprehensive requirements document. We went to RFP. I think we interviewed about 7 or 8 vendors, and we ended up selecting 2 vendors, the conference management system, which is essentially our ticketing, abstracts management module, and website and schedule and program module through eShow, as you can see up there on the right side. You're all familiar with this. They even have this fabulous app that we have this year. The site is responsive, and it's a very strong, powerful tool. I don't think anybody complained this year as the years past. On the membership side, we partnered with a small organization called Wild Apricot, which is a membership management system, of which we are only using really about 20% of their functionalities. Those 2 systems are completely integrated, so that when you actually go to register for the conference, you can add a membership, and the data is automatically transferred back. So a lot of back office stuff, but it's going to free up so much of our time going forward, because when I set out to do this, I said I'm not doing this for the next 5 years, I promise. Anyway, so our next phase of work, which is this is really for systems, but this year, going into 2017, this is going to be really a marketing infrastructure combined effort, and we're going to further define our future website needs. We're going to do some systems gaps and functionality analysis, and I think the idea is really to further integrate the platforms to make MCN a more dynamic destination to serve our community. On the marketing side and our digital presence, I'm not sure if Ryan is in the room, but Again, so much we can accomplish thanks to having him part-time on staff, just to simply spread the word out to our different social media platforms. Our marketing committee meets bi-weekly. We've launched an In the News section on our website this year where whenever a MCN is mentioned in the news, we publish a blog post, which kind of the goal is to increase MCN as a thought leader in the field. So we've also launched monthly newsletters, which was kind of flying by the seat of our pants, to be honest with you, but we did it, which is quite amazing. So 12 monthly email newsletters went out this year, and some more blog posts, more transparency throughout in our communications, I think. So that was a big progress. These are a snapshot, very high-level snapshot of our reach as the end of October. So we had 456 active members. I'm so impressed that I actually can tell you the number. 47 institutional members, 388 individual members, and 21 associate individuals. What that means there, as you know, we revamped the membership offer at the end of June. And so the current price of a individual membership went up from $75 to $90. But if you're an institutional member and you pay $500 for your institutional membership, that grants your staff a 20% discount on individual membership. So the 21 associate individuals are those who have joined as individual members as part of or under an institutional membership. 2,200 subscriber to our good old listserv. 3,400 and growing LinkedIn members. I'll let you read some of the MCN website stats there. And we went over the 6,000 followers on Twitter, and we also got our account verified. I won't tell you how, but we did. Next phase of work, and this is directly taken out of our board meeting, fresh off the press from Monday. Define MCN core systems as they pertain to year-round community needs, create an editorial calendar, establish a list of personas within our community, create segmentation between targeted types, which was an old goal of actually doing a comprehensive customer journey mapping exercise, and begin research on existing platforms for CRM needs. So, financials. I guess the number I really want you to walk away from, we, as you know, we're obviously a nonprofit, and our financials are sectioned on fiscal year. So it's June, our fiscal year begins on July 1 through June 30th. And we ended up with about 254,000 in net assets at the end of June. I think the other financial milestones, as I mentioned before, is a much rigorous and better handle on the budget development process. We also developed a disaster recovery and business continuity reserve policy, in addition of refining our financial guidelines, which we do usually in February. And that disaster recovery and business continuity reserve policy is just to actually institutionalize really reserves that the organization has had for the past 10 years, but to build it in a much more comprehensive way and systematic way. And so we did some financial modeling around that as well. Big year for MCN. Next year, MCN is turning 50. This is our visual identity, our logo for next year, as you all know. We set out essentially with 4 goals. One is to recognize past achievements, celebrate the value of our community. We really reinforce that we're a forward-looking organization and not just, celebrate the past 50 years, and rededicate our mission so that we can remain relevant to our community for hopefully the next 50 years and more. Big shout out to our MCN at 50 Planning Committee chairs, Susan Edwards and Marla Misuna, who couldn't come actually, Marla, but she'll be there next year, I promise. She promised us she would be there. We launched a section, this is what you're seeing on an MCN at 50 section on our website. And the three focus areas of activities that we are currently planning, which more will be explained in the closing plenary tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m., are three-pronged approach. One is we're going to be doing most of the MCN archives are actually at the Smithsonian Archives in Washington, so we'll be doing an archive dive early in the year, probably January, February. We'll be doing MCN History blog series. The second one is professional development. We've already mentioned the membership program, the evolution of tech jobs since the organization was founded, and more SIG sponsored monthly webinars, the MCN Pro Series. And in addition to all that, more local in-person gathering globally that we hope to either piggyback on Drinking About Museum or just doing, a more interaction so people can actually meet and not just be a completely virtual organization. And we shall see you next year in Pittsburgh from November 7th to 10th. That's it.